محمد وآل محمد صلوات. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. تبارك الذي بيده الملك وهو على كل شيء قدير. كل شيء قدير الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا وهو العزيز الغفور. الذي خلق 7 سماوات طباقا ما ترى في خلق الرحمن من تفاوت فارجع البصر هل ترى من فطور ثم ارجع البصر كرتين ينقلب إليك البصر خاسئا وهو حسير. ولقد زينا السماء الدنيا بمصابيح وجعلناها رجوما للشياطين واعتدنا لهم عذاب السعير. وللذين كفروا بربهم عذاب جهنم وبئس المصير. إذا ألقوا فيها سمعوا لها شهيقا وهي تفور تكاد تميز من الغيظ كلما ألقي فيها فوج سألهم خزنتها ألم يأتكم نذير قالوا بلى قد جاءنا نذير فكذبنا وقلنا ما نزل الله من شيء أنتم إلا في ضلال كبير. وقالوا لو كنا نسمع أو نعقل ما كنا في أصحاب السعير فاعترفوا بذنبهم فسحقا لأصحاب السعير. إن الذين يخشون ربهم بالغيب لهم مغفرة وأجر كبير. وأسروا قولكم أو اجهروا به إنه عليم بذات الصدور. ألا يعلم من خلق وهو اللطيف الخبير. هو الذي جعل لكم الأرض ذلولا فامشوا في مناكبها وكلوا من رزقه وإليه النشور. أأمنتم من في السماء يخسف بكم الأرض فإذا هي تمور أم أمنتم من في السماء يرسل عليكم حاصبا فستعلمون كيف نذير. ولقد كذب الذين من قبلهم فكيف كان نكير. أولم يروا إلى الطير فوقهم صافات ويقبض ما يمسكهن إلا الرحمن إنه بكل شيء بصير. أمن هذا الذي هو جند لكم ينصركم من دون الرحمن إن الكافرون إلا في غرور. أمن هذا الذي يرزقكم إن أمسك رزقه بل لجوا في عتو ونفور. أفمن يمشي مكبا على وجهه أهدى أمن يمشي سويا على صراط مستقيم. قل هو الذي أنشأكم وجعل لكم السمع والأبصار والأفئدة قليلا ما تشكرون. قل هو الذي ذرأكم في الأرض وإليه تحشرون. ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين. قل إنما العلم عند الله وإنما أنا نذير مبين. فلما رأوه زلفة سيئت وجوه الذين كفروا وقيل هذا الذي كنتم به تدعون. قل أرأيتم إن أحلقني الله ومن معي أو رحمنا فمن يجير الكافرين من عذاب أليم. قل هو الرحمن آمنا به وعليه توكلنا فستعلمون من هو في ضلال مبين قل أرأيتم من أصبح ماؤكم غورا فمن يأتيكم بماء معين صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوات. رحم الله من قرأ سورة المباركة الفاتحة.
बर मोहम्मदिन व आलि मोहम्मद सलावात। हुसैन सौरल्लाह अबा अब्दिल्लाह हुसैन सौरल्लाह अबा अब्दिल्लाह हुसैन सौरल्लाह अबा अब्दिल्लाह हुसैन सौरल्लाह अबा अब्दिल्लाह। ए हुसैन तेरा गम दिल पर मेरे है रकम या हुसैन मुझ पर रब का है करम या हुसैन तस्बीह दिल या हुसैन या हुसैन या हुसैन या हुसैन। ये मेरा दिल नहीं ये है करबला गरीब करबला दिल की है सदा हुसैन सौरल्लाह हुसैन सौरल्लाह अबा अब्दिल्लाह हुसैन सौरल्लाह अबा अब्दिल्लाह। करबला में सामने मौला का हरम या हुसैन सर पर गाजी का अलम हर कदम मौला मौला या हुसैन या हुसैन या हुसैन या हुसैन। है मेरी आरज़ू है मेरी जुस्तजू है मेरा आसरा है मेरा रहनुमा हुसैन सौरल्लाह हुसैन सौरल्लाह अबा अब्दिल्लाह हुसैन सौरल्लाह अबा अब्दिल्लाह। ए हुसैन तेरा गम दिल पर मेरे है रकम या हुसैन मुझ पर रब का है करम या हुसैन तस्बीह दिल या हुसैन या हुसैन या हुसैन या हुसैन। ये मेरा दिल नहीं ये है करबला गरीब करबला दिल की है सदा हुसैन सौरल्लाह हुसैन सौरल्लाह अबा अब्दिल्लाह हुसैन सौरल्लाह अबा अब्दिल्लाह। सलावत। Surah Al-Mubarakah Al-Fatiha.
صلوات على محمد وآل محمد. एक और सलवात पढ़िए मोहम्मद व आले मोहम्मद. जिंदान खुल गया है, जिंदान खुल गया है, सकीना वतन चलो, सज्जादे के गिर पड़ा छोटी सी कब्र पर, जिंदान खुल गया है, सकीना वतन चलो, सज्जादे के गे परा छोटी सी कब्र पर, मजलूम ऐसे गिर पड़ा, मजलूम ऐसे गिर पड़ा, तुरबत पे बैन की, जैसे हुसैन था गिरा, अकबर की लाश पर, जिंदान खुल गया है, सकीना वतन चलो, सज्जादे के गिर पड़ा छोटी सी कब्र पर, देखो नहीं रही मेरे हाथों में अब रस्म, जाने लगा है काफिला अब लौट कर वतन, लेकिन तू बहन शाम में, लेकिन तू बहन शाम में कैदी ही रह गई, खाकर तमाचे सो गई, जिंदा की खाक पर, जिंदान खुल गया है, करता हूँ याद रो के मैं मंजर वो दर्द का, कानों के जख्म पर जो तमाचा तुझे लगा, और बाबा को तू सेना पे, बाबा को तू सेना पे सदा देती रह गई, बाबा सीना पे रोते थे तब तुझको देख कर, जिंदान खुल गया है, अम्मा की तरह तुझको न मिल पाई थी रिदा, बाबा की तरह तुझको कफन भी न मिल सका, पत्थर भी खाए शाम में, पत्थर भी खाए शाम में, तूने मेरी तरह नाके से गिर के हो गई, तेरी भी हम कमर, जिंदान खुल गया है। मैं लेके तुझको शाम से वापस न जा सका, बाबा को क्या बताऊं मैं अब जाके करबला, कुर्ते में दफन करके, कुर्ते में दफन करके बनाई तेरी लहदे, आबिद को खून रुलाएगा ये दर्द उम्र भर, जिंदान खुल गया है। करबल में छिन गई थी तेरे सर से जो रिदा, वापस मैं ला चुका हूँ उसे देख तू जरा, सर पर मैं तेरे रखता, सर पर मैं तेरे रखता, रिदा अपने हाथ से, अफसोस हाय शाम में तू ना रही मगर, जिंदान खुल गया है। अम्मा की बहन सुन के निकलती है जान मेरी, कहती है उम्र बरना वो साए में जाएगी, कैसे उठाऊं जीरी, कैसे उठाऊं जीरी, हुई माँ को तू बता, तेरी लहद से माँ की भी हटती नहीं नजर, जिंदान खुल गया है। वो रुखसते हुसैन पे ज़ैनब का इम्तिहान, ऐसा है आज फिर से है जिंदान का समा, सज्जादे हो रहा है, सज्जादे हो रहा है, जुदाए से बहन से उठता है रो के कब्र से, गिरता है कब्र पर, जिंदान खुल गया है। सकीना वतन चलो, सज्जादी कह के गिर पड़ा छोटी सी कब्र पर। सल्लु अला मुहम्मद व आले मुहम्मद। अल फातिहा।
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Brother Aamel Unia, Zakir Nerjis Bai Kareem, Noha Khan Irfan Haider, respected elders, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. أعظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم بمصابنا بالحسين عليه السلام. Surah Fatiha is requested for the Salah Sawab of the marhumin listed on the screen and for all marhumin. Al-Fatiha. Mujibu is requested for the names listed on the screen and for all those who need here and elsewhere. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه يكشف سوء 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 أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه يكشف سوء. Quranic Arabic course. Apologies, Muharram Safar Fund. As we continue to commemorate the nights during the month of Safar, we request all who will be attending the programs at the Masjid or watching the lectures online to make a donation towards these programs. Any amount is welcome. To make a contribution, please contact Brother Murtaza Kareem or Sister Batul Muki on the number on the screen, or you can zell your donation to donate@masjidalhayy.org or go to the link shown on the screen. Quranic Arabic course. Masjid Hayy, in partnership with Fawakih Institute, is pleased to offer the Central Florida community an opportunity to enroll in a 6-week Quranic Arabic course taught by Ustad Ismail ibn Ali, Executive Director at Fawakih. Registration for the course is now available and open to both women and men. All are welcome and encouraged to take advantage of this opportunity and learn from a highly qualified and renowned instructor in a classroom-based setting. Limited spots are available. Please sign up at the link on the screen and make a payment no later than Thursday, September 7th. The information has been sent out on the newsletter and on WhatsApp as well. At this time, I'd like to invite Brother Aamel to recite tonight's lecture with 3 loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
تسأل سورة المباركة الفاتحة. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين والخاتم النبيين أبي القاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله أما بعد فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في القرآن الكريم وقوله الحق وهو أصدق الصادقين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن ينصركم الله فلا غالب لكم وإن يخذلكم فمن ذا الذي ينصركم من بعده وعلى الله فليتوكل المؤمنون صدق الله العلي العظيم صلوات على محمد وآل محمد. My respected elders, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. All praise belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I begin in His blessed name. As always, by first and foremost expressing my gratitude towards Him for granting us this life and for creating us as human beings. And to be created as human beings means, as we have been establishing over the past few nights, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us with the potential to reach and reap maximally from His mercy for eternity, and has created with us with the potential of striving to reach the highest stations of paradise. And this is an immense responsibility that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put upon each and every one of us, for He has put the onus and responsibility on us to choose how much of His mercy we would like to reap from. And this is actually, if you think about it, one of the core differentiating factors between us and the other creations of God that we see in the world around us. You see, all of the other creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we see around us, besides the human being, whether that be the apple tree, the sun, the mosquito, the ant, you name it. All of them, as magnificent as they are, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created them in a way that by their very creation, by their very existence, they automatically fulfill their purpose on earth. By their very nature, by their very existence, they automatically actualize their potentials. And hence, as a result of this, they reap from the mercy of Allah a fixed amount as determined by God Himself. And actually, if you really think about it, all the creations of God that we see around us, the sun, the moon, the different kinds of trees, the different kinds of plants, the different kinds of animals, all of them are Muslim. Because what does it mean to be Muslim? To be Muslim means to be submissive to the will of Allah. As Amir al-Mu'mineen defined Islam, he says, Al-Islam huwa taslim. Islam at its core means one thing. To be Muslim at its core means one thing. To be submissive to God. To be submissive to the will of God. And so if you examine the creation around us, you will find that all the other creations and all the other species, they are by default submissive to the will of God. They never defy God. You never see an apple tree deciding to produce oranges. The sun never decides that it will stop providing us its rays and its brilliance. It's always submissive to the will of God. It's Muslim in the fullest sense. By its very creation, by its very existence, it's Muslim. It's constantly submitting to the will of God. But the human being is that unique creature where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I'm going to create you in such a way that you are going to have to choose to live as a Muslim. That's the difference. You are going to have to choose if you want to live a life that is fully and completely submissive towards me. I'm going to put that onus on you, that responsibility on you to choose to live a life in submission towards me. That's the difference. And hence Allah in the Quran constantly is telling us, reflect at the world around you. إِنَّ فِي خَلْقِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَاخْتِلَافِ اللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ لَآيَاتٍ لِأُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ. Allah says, in the creation of the heavens and the earth, the alternation of the days and the nights, these are all signs for those of you who have understanding. Meaning Allah is saying, open your eyes and look at the world around you. Don't you see in all the creation of the heavens and the earth, the way the night and the day change, and all the different species and all the different ecosystems, how there is so much perfect harmony and order? Why is there so much perfect harmony and order? Because all of these other creations and species are fully and completely submissive to the will of God. So Allah is saying, look at them, learn from them. It's a sign for you. If you also want to live in harmony and have order, you must also choose to be submissive to me and my will, and then you will have the same result. And so to be a human being is that unique creature that Allah says, I'm going to put the onus and responsibility on you. You are that one creature I'm creating where I'm giving you the choice not to actualize your potential. If you want to actualize your potential, you're going to have to choose to actualize your potential. Not only that, you are going to have to choose how much of your potential you want to actualize. And not only that, here's the breaking news from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Your potential is infinite and limitless. Because the treasuries and the mercies of God are infinite and limitless. See, the example is like, imagine, I was to take a child right now. And let's say I know my son, I know my daughter, she really loves chocolates. She loves candy. So I take her to a candy store, let's say the likes of, Willy Wonka, Chocolate Factory, and all kinds of different kinds of sweets and desserts are in this store. So I take my son to the store, this magnificent store with all kinds of chocolates and candies, and I tell him, listen, I'm going to take you to this aisle. I'm going to pick this one specific product. Let's say it's a candy such as Twix. And I give it to my son. I say, here you go. This candy is for you. You get to have a Twix. Now, my son will be very happy. He says, oh, I love candy. Thank you so much. I got a Twix. Great day, successful day. Mission accomplished. But now, let's say I have another son. Now I take this second son to the same candy store, but here's the difference. Instead of going to an aisle and picking out a candy for him and giving him that candy, I tell my son, you go into the store, you choose whichever candy you want to buy, and you choose however much amount of candy you want to buy. I give you a specific time, go buy whatever you want, and then at the end of the time limit, whatever you acquired for yourself, you get to keep it. So, whoa, that's much better than the first option. First option, I just get a specific candy and I say thank you very much. Second option, say no, you get to go in the store, you get to buy whatever you want, as much as you want, and then you get to keep it for yourself. So that's a much better option. There's a lot more potential, a lot more responsibility. Well, that's exactly what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has done for us compared to the other creations. The other creation, the apple tree, Allah says you're going to be an apple tree. Here you go, case closed. You benefit from my mercy in this specific and defined way. You are an apple tree. The orange tree, Allah says, you are an orange tree. Here you go, you can't change. The sun is the sun, you cannot change. Here you go, here's your defined plan. Human being, Allah says, you're a special creature. I'm going to let you define for yourself what you want to acquire for yourself and how much of my mercy you want to reap from. You want to be higher than the angels? You get to choose that. You want to be negligent and defiant and be worse than the beasts and the animals? You get to choose that. So it's an immense responsibility, an immense honor that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. And we can reach such heights as human beings. We can reach such levels of nobility that even the angels in the heavens can be impressed with the character that we develop for ourselves. That's why, interestingly, in Ziyarat al-Nahiya, our 12th holy Imam says about Aba Abdullah, قَدْ عَجِبَتْ مِنْ صَبْرِكَ مَلَائِكَةُ السَّمَاءِ. He says, Aba Abdullah, on that day of Ashura, even the angels in heaven were astonished by the patience you manifested on that day. You reach such peaks, you reach such heights as a human being. Even the angels who are perfect, they never disobey God. They carry out all the commandments of God. Even they were in awe that this is a special creature right here. This is a special human being. Because remember, when the human was initially first being placed upon earth, the angels were confused. They said, Allah, أَتَجْعَلُ فِيهَا مَن يُفْسِدُ فِيهَا وَيَسْفِكُ الدِّمَاءَ وَنَحْنُ نُسَبِّحُ بِحَمْدِكَ وَنُقَدِّسُ لَكَ. Allah, you're going to place upon earth a creature who is going to cause bloodshed and corruption. We already glorify you, Allah. What's the point of this creature? Allah says, إِنِّي أَعْلَمُ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. I know that which you don't know. I know the heights that this creature can reach. And the Ahlul Bayt, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran want us to understand this is the heights that we can reach, that even the angels can be impressed with our levels of humanity and nobility. And this is why in the dua that we've been discussing over the last few nights, dua Makarim al-Akhlaq from our fourth holy Imam, Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam, the first theme through the first 4 lines of the dua that we established last night was the fact that on the pursuit of nobility, on the pursuit toward trying to reach the peaks of humanity, one of the first things that the Imam wants us to understand is exactly this, that we need to have an elevated vision and reach for the stars. Because what did he say in the first 4 lines? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa alih wa balligh bi imani akmal al-iman. Oh Allah, I want my faith to reach the perfect faith. Waj'al yaqini afdal al-yaqeen. I want my certainty to reach the best of certainties. Wantahi bi niyyati ila ahsan an-niyyat. I want my intention to be the best of intentions. Wa bi amali ila ahsan al-a'mal. I want my actions to be the best of actions. So elevate your vision, the Imam teaches me. Aim for the stars because you were created to reach those heights, even above the angels. So aim for that. But then what does the Imam say in the next 3 lines of the dua? He says, Allahumma waffir bi lutfika niyyati wassahih bima indaka yaqini wastaslih bi qudratika ma fasada minni. He says, Oh Allah, waffir bi lutfika ma niyyati. Oh Allah, through your gentleness, complete my intention. وَالصَّحِّحْ بِمَا عِنْدَكَ يَقِينِي. Through what is with you, rectify my certainty. وَاسْتَصْلِحْ بِقُدْرَتِكَ مَا فَسَدَ مِنِّي. Through your power, fix what is corrupt within me. What is Imam teaching me here through these lines? If you examine these 3 lines, you will see the Imam is trying to teach me that on the pursuit of nobility, as you try to aspire towards reaching the heights as a human being, one of the fundamental preliminaries is that you must acknowledge and identify the weaknesses and shortcomings that you have. Because in order for you to tell Allah that, oh Allah, complete my intention, what's the prerequisite? You're acknowledging to God, I have identified my intention is incomplete. For you to tell Allah, rectify my certainty, what's the prerequisite? You have to have acknowledged my certainty, my beliefs are a bit shaky and wonky. For you to tell Allah, fix what is corrupt within me, you have to acknowledge that there are definitely things that are corrupt within me. I've got issues that I need to work upon. So the Imam is teaching me, you want to go towards the peaks of nobility? Well, one of the first steps is you better acknowledge your weaknesses. You better acknowledge your shortcomings. Because if you don't acknowledge the fact that you have things to work upon, how will you ever improve as a human being? How can I ever improve and grow if I don't think I have anything I need to work upon to begin with? It's like someone comes here and gives me a piece of medication, tells me take this pill. I say, why should I take this pill? There's nothing wrong with me. If I don't think I have an issue, if I don't think I'm sick, why would I take the pill? If I don't think I'm sick, why would I go out looking for doctors and going to hospitals and visiting different experts to help me fix my issues if I don't think I have any issues to begin with? So the Imam is saying, first step, identify and acknowledge that you have issues. And if there is one thing that is so difficult for us as human beings to do, is to acknowledge the fact that we have shortcomings. To acknowledge and identify our own faults. We are experts in finding the faults of the world around us. You tell me, what do you think of person X? I can start listing, oh, this got this issue, he's got this anger issue, he does this, he treats his wife like this. The whole line comes out. I know all his faults. But how about your own faults? Oh, me, come on, I'm perfect. Shia, I follow Ahlul Bayt, I have no issues. Sirat al-Mustaqim. That's why Amir al-Mu'mineen says, Jahlul mar'i bi'uyubih min akbari dhunubih. He says one of the greatest sins of the human being is to be ignorant of his own defects. If you are the type of person who is so aware of the world around him and all the issues in the world around him, but you are not aware and you have not identified and introspected to point out what are the issues you have yourself, then Imam is saying that is one of the biggest sins. You are an ignorant person. By the way, all the top companies in the world, they figure this out, the importance of identifying your weaknesses. You know, as I flew into Orlando, and as many of you, whenever you travel, you go on a flight with a specific airline, you land, within the next day you get in the email, please take our survey. Let us know how we did. Yeah, we want to know what we did well, but more importantly, we want to know where did we go wrong. Wait, hold on a second. Why do you want to know where you went wrong? Well, because we have aspirations to be the best airline. In order to be the best airline, we have to identify and acknowledge where are the areas we need to improve. How can we improve? So tell us, help us point out our weaknesses and our shortcomings so we can patch those up and fix those so we can continue to improve the quality of our service. All the top tech companies, all the banks, they figure this out. They hand out hundreds of thousands of dollars to anyone who can point out a security vulnerability in their system. You can hack into our system, you can point out a flaw, we'll pay you. We thank you. You say, hold on a second. Why are you thanking? You're paying me to point out a weakness. You're paying me to hack into your system. Yes, because our end goal is we want to improve the quality of our service. We want to be the best and most secure bank. But in order to get there, we have to identify all the faults and weaknesses along the way so that we can patch those up and then get to those heights. All the top athletes have figured this out. Every top athlete, every sport team, what do they do after they play a game? They go and watch film of themselves. Not because they want to feel proud that, oh, look, we played so well. Yeah, that's nice to feel good when you won, but more importantly, they want to figure out, where did we go wrong? Where did the game plan break down? Where were the mistakes that happened so we can fix those mistakes for next time so we don't repeat them, so we can become a better and more productive team. So the Imam is teaching me in the dua, recognize step number one, your faults, your weaknesses. Don't be the type that's so busy in just trying to find the faults and weaknesses of others, as Allah reminds us in Surah Al-Hujurat. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, la yaskhar qawmun min qawmin asa an yakunu khayran minhum, wa la nisa'un min nisa'in asa an yakunna khayran minhunna. ولا تلمزوا أنفسكم ولا تنابزوا بالألقاب بئس الاسم الفسوق بعد الإيمان ومن لم يتب فأولئك هم الظالمون. Allah says, oh, those of you who believe, do not let one group amongst you make fun and mock the other group, perchance that group you are mocking is actually better than you. You sit there mocking the world and pointing fingers at the world, laughing at the world. Perhaps that group you're mocking could be higher and more elevated in the eyes of Allah than you yourself. Why do you busy yourself mocking and making fun of others? But here's the other interesting way to understand this verse. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is perhaps highlighting that the reason you're mocking others, the reason you're making fun of others, is because you know deep down they are better than you. And because you know they're better than you, and you want to feel better about yourself, because you've got that superiority complex where you pretend like you are God's given gift to earth, but deep down you've got all the insecurities and vulnerabilities, and when you see others better than you want to feel better about yourself because you are not that good. So what better way to feel better about yourself than to mock them, laugh them, and try to bring them down, so in contrast you can make yourself come up. I'm saying don't do this, don't laugh, don't mock at one another, don't find faults in one another. وَلَا تَلْمِزُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ. The believer, when he sees faults in others, our ahadith tell us that the believer, when he sees faults in others, the first thing he does is doesn't criticize that person. The first thing the person does when he sees faults in someone else is he asks himself, do I have those same faults within me? That's why even in the likes of Jordan Peterson, by the way, who's a world-renowned psychologist, very well known to the world today, if you read his book, 12 Rules of Life. You know, his version of perhaps his Quran, his constitution for life. That he wants to teach the world the 12 rules to be a successful human being. And he has, some good messages, makes good remarks. In this book, 12 Rules for Life, look at rule number 6. According to him, the 12 rules, amongst the 12 rules you need to be a successful human being, to live a happy and successful life, rule number 6 says, get your house in order before you criticize others. Meaning before you start going around trying to point out faults in the world, first look here and make sure those same faults don't exist in the world around you. Get your house in order before criticizing others. Because the worst thing is when you see people criticizing, complaining, finding faults, but they have those same issues themselves. I'm saying step number 1 on that pursuit to nobility. Yes, you've got the elevated vision, but then you tell Allah, you admit to Allah, you are brutally honest to Allah, that Allah, I have weaknesses within me. I have shortcomings within me. I have faults within me. And here's the beauty of speaking to Allah. That you and I, despite the fact that He is the King of Kings and the controller and manager of the entire universe, we can pour our heart to Him and we can be brutally honest to Him about all the issues that we have. See, in the world today, if you go to a figure of authority, you go to your boss, no one goes to their boss and tells their boss that, listen, I've got all these problems, I've got all these issues. Your boss asks you, how's it going? You're going to fake it. Oh, everything is great. Is the deadline, everything is on time? Yes, even if there's 100 issues and there's a problem with the wife at home and the child is sick, no one goes to their boss and the superior executive of the company and tells them all the issues they've got going on. No, we try to present a nice facade for ourselves. No issues in my life. No weaknesses here. It's all rosy and dandy. But with Allah, despite Him being the controller of the universe, the ultimate authority, Imam is saying, you don't have to worry about Him judging you. He already knows anyways. He just wants you to be honest and pour your heart out to Him. Admit your weaknesses to Him. Admit your vulnerabilities to Him. Admit your insecurities to Him. The way Nabi Yaqub, Allah says in the Quran, when he's dealing with the pain of losing his son, he says, قَالَ إِنَّمَا أَشْكُو بَثِّي وَحُزْنِي إِلَى اللَّهِ. He says, I complain of my grief and my sorrow. But to who? To Allah. It's a prophet of God, but he's brutally honest with Allah. There's no formalities with Allah. You be honest with Him and you admit to Him the issues you're going through. And this is what I love about the story of Nabi Ibrahim in the Quran. That Nabi Ibrahim, despite being a prophet of God, despite being the type of prophet that eventually became and reached the level of imama, reached the level of imama. He's known as Khalilullah, friend of Allah. Friend of Allah because he so candidly spoke to Allah about any concerns he had. You see, Allah in the Quran very interestingly mentions that once Nabi Ibrahim is speaking to Allah, okay? And he's speaking to Allah and he says in the Quran, وَإِذْ قَالَ إِبْرَاهِيمُ رَبِّي أَرِنِي كَيْفَ تُحْيِي الْمَوْتَى. Now imagine, this is a prophet of God speaking. Not any ordinary human being. Nabi Ibrahim, who was Sammakumul Muslimin. This is a high level of prophet of God speaking to God. He tells Allah, Rabbi arini kayfa tuhyil mawta. He says, oh Allah, show me how you're going to bring the dead back to life. Allah tells him, awalam tu'min? He says, don't you believe? You're a prophet of God. You're asking me, you want me to show you how I'm going to bring the dead back to life? Awalam tu'min? Don't you believe? Nabi Ibrahim says, قَالَ بَلَى وَلَكِنْ لِيَطْمَئِنَّ قَلْبِي. He says, yes, of course I believe Allah, but I want my heart to have further reassurance. So Prophet of Allah telling Allah, of course Allah, I believe in you, but even for me, I know there are higher levels of certainty and tranquility and reassurance within the heart I want to reach. I'm being honest with you, God. I'm your friend, Khalilullah. I'm telling you, I want to see, how are you going to bring the dead back to life? I believe in you, but وَلَكِنْ لِيَطْمَئِنَّ قَلْبِي. I want my heart to be more at ease. So Allah says, good, you're brutally honest with me, I'll show you. فَخُذْ أَرْبَعَةً مِّنَ الطَّيْرِ فَصُرْهُنَّ إِلَيْكَ ثُمَّ اجْعَلْ عَلَى كُلِّ جَبَلٍ مِّنْهُنَّ جُزْءًا ثُمَّ ادْعُهُنَّ يَأْتِينَكَ سَعْيًا. Allah says, go, take 4 birds, call them towards you, sacrifice the birds, place them upon hilltops, then call towards them in my name, and you will see they will come back to life, back towards you. So you want to see? Ask me and I'll show you. Because he's brutally honest with Allah. Asking sincerely, Allah, show it to me. There's no formalities with Allah. Be honest, open. I have these issues. I admit and I take responsibility for the fact that I have these issues and these weaknesses. But Allah, I also admit and I also acknowledge that me as a human being, I am incapable of solving all the issues of my life unless and until you help me and shine your light onto me. That's what the Imam says. If you examine the exact phrasing of the 3 lines I've been discussing, Imam doesn't just say, oh Allah, rectify my certainty. Oh Allah, I've got an incomplete intention. He doesn't just admit his weakness. He says, no Allah, Allahumma waffir bilutfika niyati. Oh Allah, through your gentleness, complete my intention. I can't do it without you. You have to help me. Allahumma wasahih bima indaka yaqini. Oh Allah, through what is with you, rectify my certainty. Wastaslih biqudratika ma fasada minni. Oh Allah, through your power, fix what is corrupt within me. Yes, I've got issues, God, and I know I have issues, and I admit those issues, and I also admit, and I humble myself before you to the extent that I acknowledge that unless and until you shine your light upon me, I can never heal and fix all those issues I have myself without your support and assistance. And hence Allah says in the Quran, in the verse that I began with, إِن يَنْصُرْكُمُ اللَّهُ فَلَا غَالِبَ لَكُمْ وَإِن يَخْذُلْكُمْ فَمَنْ ذَا الَّذِي يَنْصُرُكُمْ مِنْ بَعْدِهِ. If Allah helps you, then who is there that can defeat you? But if He doesn't help you, then who is there that can assist you? وَعَلَى اللَّهِ فَلْيَتَوَكَّلِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. And upon God should the believers have tawakkul. This is the meaning of tawakkul. See, tawakkul means to accept God as being your wakil, accept God as being your representative. The same way when you go to court and you've got all kinds of issues, all kinds of mistakes, a terrible record, you're like, listen, I don't know how I'm going to get out of this myself. I'm lost. This is a lost cause. But I'm going to try to hire the best representative, the best attorney, and I'm going to rely on him that he perhaps can help me get out of this situation. Tawakkul is to accept Allah as a representative. Say, Allah, I rely upon you. I've got issues, made a lot of mistakes, lots of vulnerabilities, lots of insecurities. I don't know how I'm going to fix all of these myself, but I rely on you to shine your light upon me and help me get out of this situation. And this is what our fourth holy Imam beautifully says in Dua Abu Hamza Thumali. He says, فَإِذَا رَأَيْتُ مَوْلَايَ ذُنُوبِي فَزِعْتُ. He says, Allah, my master, if I look at all of my sins, all of my mistakes, all of my flaws, I start to panic. فَزِعْتُ. But وَإِذَا رَأَيْتُ كَرَمَكَ طَمِعْتُ. But when I start to look at your generosity, then I begin to feel hopeful. When I look at myself, all my issues, I'm panicking. This is a terrible situation I'm in. Lots of issues when I introspect. Lots of issues. But what gives me the confidence that I will resolve those issues and reach the peaks of humanity and reach the peaks of nobility is not the confidence I have in myself, but rather it is the confidence I have in you, Allah, your generosity to help me get out of this situation. That's why, there's a lot of motivational gurus and speakers in the world who talk a lot about self-confidence. Right? Be confident in yourself. Don't doubt yourself. You doubt yourself, you're doomed for failure. You should be confident in yourself that you are fit for that job. You are fit for that position. Be confident. But what Islam teaches us, what Allah teaches in the Quran, is something above self-confidence. I like to call it God confidence. I don't have confidence in myself because I'm that same fool that the other day I'm using my iPhone and then I forgot my passcode. I don't have confidence in myself. If I'm relying just on me, game over. There's no way I'm getting out of this. But what I have confidence in is not my own abilities, not my own strengths. I have confidence in the one whom I rely upon. I don't have confidence in who I am. I have confidence in whose I am. He is the one that I have trust and reliance upon, because He is the one who told me, Allahu waliyul ladhina amanu yukhrijuhum min al-dhulumati ila nur. Allah is the guardian, He is the master of the believers, and He brings them from darkness into light. I've got confidence in Him, not in myself. If there's any confidence in myself, it's not because of who I am, but I have confidence in the one who is my master, the one who has my back, the one who tells me, Allahu waliyul ladhina amanu, I've got your back as a believer. That's where the confidence comes from. That's why Ahlul Bayt, they always used to recite the beautiful dua, that Allahumma la takilni ila nafsi tarfata aynin abada. Oh Allah, don't leave me to myself even for the blink of an eye. Even for the blink of an eye, you leave me to myself. I've got no trust in myself. Be with me all the time. And of course, Allah is always with us. But it is us sometimes who are not with Allah. We place the blockages ourselves. Imam is teaching us in the dua, admit your weaknesses, admit your faults, and then recognize that it is only to the light of Allah, the power of Allah, the gentleness of Allah, that you have hope to resolve all those weaknesses and faults. That's the message. That yes, you recognize you have issues, and then you acknowledge that the only way to resolve those issues is via assistance from Him, via His light. And this, by the way, is why even as children, our parents always taught us, before you do anything, start with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We took it as a joke. Said, okay, fine, Mom. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Before I eat my food, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Before I leave the house, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Before I go for the job interview. But that's a real statement that Allah, I'm acknowledging that I don't have trust and confidence in myself. I may forget, I may mess up, I have issues, I have weaknesses, but whatever I'm about to do, I am starting using your names, the one, you are the one who is extremely merciful and especially merciful. And it is through your names and through your power do I have some level of hope that I will be able to accomplish this task. Not because of who I am, but because of who you are. This is what we call the ultimate trust and reliance on Allah. Acknowledging that Allah, you are in control of everything. You know all the weaknesses I have. Because you are the one you say in the Quran, يَعْلَمُ خَائِنَةَ الْأَعْيُنِ وَمَا تُخْفِي الصُّدُورِ. He knows even the stealthy glances of the eyes and what you hide deep down within your heart. Allah, you know it all. And I also acknowledge, Allah, that you are the source of being able to fix it all. For you are the one who tells me, قُلِ اللَّهُمَّ مَالِكَ الْمُلْكِ تُؤْتِ الْمُلْكَ مَنْ تَشَاءُ وَتَنْزِعُ الْمُلْكَ مِمَّنْ تَشَاءُ وَتُعِزُّ مَنْ تَشَاءُ وَتُذِلُّ مَنْ تَشَاءُ بِيَدِكَ الْخَيْرِ إِنَّكَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. Oh Allah, you are the Malik al-Mulk, you are the King of Kings. You grant kingdom to whoever you want. You take away kingdom from whoever you want. You elevate and give honor to whoever you want. And you bring down and you can degrade whoever you want. Because بِيَدِكَ الْخَيْرِ, in your hand is all goodness, and you are in control and powerful over anything and everything. And if we examine the story of Karbala, the martyrdom of Karbala, you will find this theme of confidence in Allah throughout every single step that Abu Abdullah and his family took. Even if you read the Maqtal, when Abu Abdullah is going to fight the enemies, he's constantly reciting, Bismillahi wa billah wa ala millati Rasulillah. Oh Allah, I'm going in a extremely dangerous and perilous situation. But I've got confidence and trust because I've got you, Bismillahi wa billah. That even when he's seeing his 6-month-old or his 2-year-old infant, his young infant being slaughtered in front of his eyes, he's saying, oh Allah, I'm okay in this situation because I know you are witnessing all of this. This is why we remember these stories. We commemorate these tragedies because they remind us of the standards we have to live up to and the template on how to reach the peaks of nobility. This is why Ahlul Bayt constantly encouraged remembrance of Ahlul Bayt, remembrance of the Masa'ib, to ensure we never forget these principles. That they say Imam al-Sajjad alayhi salam after Karbala, we know in Medina he would constantly be reminded about the tragedy of Karbala. That they say once a man enters into Medina, and the man is saying, Ana al-gharib, ana al-atshan. He's saying, I am gharib, I'm a stranger, I'm thirsty. The Imam goes to this man and he says that if you were to die right now, would there be people that would come and they would bury you and they would shroud you? He said, yes, of course. Then he says, then you are not Gharib and Adshan. The one true Gharib and Adshan was my father in Karbala. That after he was slaughtered, he left him there lying on the grounds and no one was allowed to go and bury and shroud him. He was Gharib and Adshan. That they say once Imam is sitting in his room and his servant narrates that I entered the room and I saw Imam al-Sajjad crying. I asked Imam al-Sajjad, Ama ana li huznika ay yanqadi. Is it not time that your grief stops for Abu Abdullah? The Imam, he says, he looked at me, فَرَفَعَ رَأْسَهُ. He raised his head and he told me, لَقَدْ شَكَى يَعْقُوبُ إِلَىٰ رَبِّهِ فِي أَقَلِّ مِمَّا رَأَيْتِ. By Allah, Yaqub cried more to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for having witnessed much less than I did. يَا أَسَفَا عَلَى يُوسُف أَنَّهُ فَقَدْ إِبْنَ وَاحِدًا وَأَنَا رَأَيْتُ أبي وجماعة أهل بيتي يذبحون حولي. He says, alas for Yusuf, but he was one child that Yaqub lost, while I had to witness my father and almost all of my family members be slaughtered all around me. Today we remember this Imam Sajjad, Lady Zainab, that after the day of Ashura, they are taken as captives from city to city. As they get towards Kufa, they are made to wait outside the gates of Kufa because they are decorating the city of Kufa. Then they enter the city of Kufa. They are viewed as enemies. Rock is thrown towards them. Fire is thrown towards them. And they walk towards the city. Then as they are taken towards Sham, Imam Sajjad was asked, how were you taken to Sham? He says, verily, we were put on animals without saddles. Verily, we were tied in ropes and chains. Verily, we had to watch the head of our father upon our spears. And then whenever one of us would cry out, Wa Husayna, they would whip us and they would not let us cry over our father. That this same Imam, they say, as he enters into Sham, his feet are dripping with blood because of all the marks of the chains. They say a man comes to Imam Sajjad in the prison in Sham. He says, Imam Sajjad, what is your experience like in Sham? Imam Sajjad says, they have dealt with us the way Fir'aun dealt with the Bani Israel. إِذْ يُذَبِّحُونَ أَبْنَاءَنَا إِذْ يُذَبِّحُونَ أَبْنَاءَهُمْ وَيَسْتَحْيُونَ نِسَاءَهُم. They have killed all of our men, but they have left our women be as captives. They keep us here in an open air prison. During the daytime, the sun burns our skin, and during the nighttime, the cold bothers us. That's why whenever Imam Sajjad would be asked, what do you remember most about the tragedy? He would say, Ash-Sham, Ash-Sham, Ash-Sham.
ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين الحمد لله رب العالمين إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. ماتم الحسين.
يا حسين 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 हाँ जब शाम के बाजार में सैदानियां आई और चादर की जगह खाक सफर बालों पे लाई नागाहा जब गाजी की नजर कुलसूम तक आई और सर खाक पर अब्बास ने नेज़े से गिराया डर है कुलसूम के चेहरे पे ना पड़ जाए नजर नो के नेज़ा पे ठहरता नहीं अब्बास का सर डर है कुलसूम के चेहरे पे ना पड़ जाए नजर नो के नेज़ा पे ठहरता नहीं अब्बास का सर नो के नेज़ा पे ठहरता नहीं अब्बास का सर एक गयूर वफादार पे अब और सितम क्या होगा जिसकी चादर का मुहाफिज था वही आज हुई बेपर्दा। शाम वालों इसी एहसास से दौरान सफर नोके नेज़ा पे ठहरता नहीं अब्बास का सर। डर है कुलसूम के चेहरे पे ना पड़ जाए नजर, नोके नेज़ा पे ठहरता नहीं अब्बास का सर। डर है कुलसूम के चेहरे पे ना पड़ जाए नजर, नोके नेज़ा पे ठहरता नहीं अब्बास का सर। नोके नेज़ा पे ठहरता नहीं अब्बास का सर। चश्मे सज्जाद से बहने लगे उस वक्त लहू के धारे, जबकि मासूम सकीना को सितम करने तमाचे मारे। लाशा साहिल पे तड़पता है उधर और इधर, नोके नेज़ा पे ठहरता नहीं अब्बास का सर। डर है कुलसूम के चेहरे पे ना पड़ जाए नजर, नोके नेज़ा पे ठहरता नहीं अब्बास। डर है कुलसूम के चेहरे पे ना पड़ जाए नजर, नोके नेज़ा पे ठहरता नहीं, नोके नेज़ा पे ठहरता नहीं अब्बास का। आंधियों खाक उड़ाओ के बने इस हरम का पर्दा, गूंजी जब शाम की गमनाक फजाओं में ये ज़ैनब की सदा। आसमां रोने लगा रोई ज़मीं ये कहकर, नोके नेज़ा पे ठहरता नहीं अब्बास का सर। डर है कुलसूम के चेहरे पे न पड़ जाए नजर, नोके नेज़ा पे ठहरता नहीं अब्बास का सर। डर है कुलसूम के चेहरे पे न पड़ जाए नजर, नोके नेज़ा पे ठहरता नहीं। डर है कुलसूम के चेहरे पे ना पड़ जाए नजर, नोके नेज़ा पे ठहरता नहीं चश्मे सज्जाद से बहने लगे उस वक्त लहू के धारे, जबकि मासूम सकीना को सितम करने तमाचे मारे। लाशा साहिल पे तड़पता है उधर और इधर, नोके नेज़ा पे ठहरता नहीं अब्बास का सर। डर है कुलसूम के चेहरे पे ना पड़ जाए नजर, नोके नेज़ा पे ठहरता नहीं डर है कुलसूम के चेहरे पे ना पड़ जाए नजर, नोके नेज़ा पे ठहरता। डर है कुलसूम के चेहरे पे ना पड़ जाए नजर, नोके नेज़ा पे ठहरता, नोके नेज़ा पे ठहरता नहीं अब्बास का सर। कभी लैला कभी फरीवा कभी कुलसूम कहे वावैला, चेहरा बालों से छुपाते हुए ज़ैनब ने यही रोक कहा, अम्मा फिज़ा जरा देखो तो ये गम का मंजर, नोके नेज़ा पे ठहरता नहीं अब्बास का सर। डर है कुलसूम के चेहरे पे ना पड़ जाए नजर, नोके नेज़ा पे ठहरता। डर है कुलसूम के चेहरे पे ना पड़ जाए नजर, नोके नेज़ा पे ठहरता नहीं नोके नेज़ा पे ठहरता नहीं अब्बास का सर। जिसने आका ही कहा अपने बड़े भाई को भाई न कहा, उसका सर कैसे बताओ तो सरे शय के बराबर आता। सच तो ये है कि ये है माँ की नसीहत का असर, नोके नेज़ा पे ठहरता नहीं अब्बास का सर, नोके नेज़ा पे ठहरता नहीं डर है कुलसूम के चेहरे पे न पड़ जाए नजर, नोके नेज़ा पे ठहर, नोके नेज़ा पे ठहर। जिंदानी की तारीकियों में अपने सीने से लगाए हुए शबीर कसर। सकीना कहती थी बाबा बाबा सुनो मेरा सफर, और सबके थे शाने बंधे, मेरा बंधा था गला। मैं पंजों पे चलती रही बाबा, मैं पंजों पे चल सबके थे शाने बंधे, मेरा बंधा था गला। सबके थे शाने बंधे, मेरा बंधा था गला। मैं पंजों पे चलती रही बाबा, मैं पंजों पे चलती रही बाबा, मैं पंजों पे आपसे कैसे कहूँ कैसे कटा वो सफर। आले पैगंबर चली रोते हुए नंगे सर, आप चले नेज़े पर कांटों पे भाई चला। आप चले नेज़े पर कांटों पे भाई चला। मैं पंजों पे चलती रही, पंजों पे चलती रही। सब्र का दामन मेरे हाथ से छूटा नहीं, नेज़े से क्या आपने बाबा ये देखा नहीं। खिंचती रही रिस्मा चलता रहा काफिला, खिंचती रही रिस्मा चलता रहा काफिला। मैं पंजों पे चलती रही, मैं पंजों पे चलती रही बाबा, मैं पंजों पे चलती रही बाबा, मैं पंजों पे चलती रही बाबा, मैं पंजों पे चल। तुमको कफन दे दिया रेत के तूफान ने, बालों से पर्दा किया मेरी फूफी जान ने। और मेरे दर्द का कोई मदावा न था, और मेरे दर्द का कोई मदावा न था। मैं पंजों पे चलती रही बाबा, सब मिलके बोलो। माज़ी के कुछ वाक़े याद जो आए मुझे, सीने पे कैसे मुझे आप सुलाते रहे। यादों में यूं खो गई भूल गई हर जफ़ा, यादों में यूं खो गई भूल गई हर जफ़ा। मैं पंजों पे चलती एक रसन में बंधे छोटे बड़ों के गले, लाशों पे रोते हुए करबो बला से चले। हाल मेरा देख के रोने लगी करबला, हाल मेरा देख के रोने लगी करबला। मैं पंजों पे चलती रही, या हुसैन 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 बाजार शाम बाजार शाम एक काफिला जब पहुंचा बाजार नजदीक बहुत आया दरबार एक शख्स ने आकर दी ये सदा ऐ शिम्र मुझे सर दे ये जरा कीमत ले ले जितनी चाहे कीमत ले ले जितनी चाहे जब शिम्र ने सर मौला का दिया वो जालिम लोगों से ये कहने लगा लोगों आओ बदला ले लो लोगों आओ बदला ले लो हर समत से आए जब पत्थर कहती थी ज़ैनब रो रो कर हम ही है नबी की आल पत्थर न मारो 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 मारो पत्थर न मारो पत्थर न मारो बचपने में इसकी खातिर रब ने भेजा पैरहन इसका लाशा दश्त में है आज बे गोरो कफन कब्र में खुद मुस्तफा कब्र में खुद मुस्तफा कह रहे हैं पुरमलाल पत्थर न मारो पत्थर न मारो पत्थर न मारो पत्थर न पत्थर न मारो पत्थर न मारो एक दिन में तुमने मारे इसके सब पीरो जवान फिर इसे ज़िबहा किया था बरसरे रेगे तपा रहम खाओ जालिमो रहम खाओ जालिमो अब तो बहरे जुल जलाल पत्थर न मारो 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 हर सितम तो कर चुके हो बेवतन मजलूम पर छोड़कर रेती पे लाशा रख दिया नेज़े पे सर काबिले ताज़ीम है काबिले ताज़ीम है अहमद मुरसल का लाल पत्थर न मारो, पत्थर न मारो, पत्थर न मारो, हारो है पत्थर न मारो, पत्थर न मारो। मौला हक इमाम या हसन या हुसैन, मौला मौला हक इमाम या हसन या हुसैन, या हुसैन या हुसैन, बादे हुसैन इब्ने अली ज़ैनब पे क्या आई घड़ी, जलती हुई रेती पे थी बेआसरा ले नबी, शामे गरीब आ गई, शामे गरीब हर सूदा हंसी छा गई, हर सूदा हंसी छा गई। हाँ पहरे पे ज़ैनब आ गई, पहरे पे ज़ैनब आ गई, होठों पे था बस ये कलाम, मौला हक इमाम, मौला हक इमाम हुसैन या हुसैन, मखदूम कौनैन की पोती सकीना में खता, बाबा का लाशा ढूंढने फिरती थी पल में जा बजा, शबीर की वो लाडली सीने पे जो शाह के पली, सीने उसकी यही फरियाद थी, उसकी यही फरियाद थी, जब जल चुके सारे ख़याम, मौला हक इमाम, मौला हक इमाम हुसैन या हुसैन, या हुसैन, जिसके लहू का आज भी मकरूज है सारा जहां, हलमिन की जो आवाज पर मकतल में आया बेज़बां, वो असगरे बेशीर था, वो जो कातिबे तकदीर था, जो कातिबे और हुरमला का तीर था, और जिसके लिए महदे कलाम, मौला हक इमाम हसन या हुसैन, मौला हक इमाम हसन या हुसैन, या हुसैन या हुसैन। काफी है रोने के लिए वो शाम कूफा का सफर, चादर तलाब करता रहा सज्जाद कैदियों हगर, फिर कैदियों का काफिला, फिर कैदियों दरबार में लाया गया, दरबार में खुतबा जो ज़ैनब ने दिया, खुतबा जो ज़ैनब ने दिया, लब पर था ये कलमा मुदाम, मौला मौला हक इमाम या हुसैन, या हुसैन, है या है। आखिर में आइए बीबी ज़हरा सलाम अलैहा के हुजूर ये इस्तिग़ासा पेश करें। सारे हुसैनी मिलकर आवाज़ बुलंद, मेरी आवाज़ से आवाज़ मिलाकर बिलखुसूस ये बच्चे सबने अपने दिल की गहराइयों से बीबी को पुकारना है, सबने मिलकर बोलना है फातिमा ज़हरा, फातिमा ज़हरा, फातिमा ज़हरा, फातिमा ज़हरा, फातिमा ज़हरा, सलामत रहिए। फातिमा या ज़हरा, या ज़हरा, या ज़हरा, है मेरी बीबी, है मेरी बीबी, तेरे दर पे इस्तिग़ासा है, तेरा ममनून मेरी शहज़ादी ये जहां सारा है। या ज़हरा, हाँ या तू हमें हीज़ और अमा दे दे, अपनी चादर का साइबा दे दे, तेरी कुदरत में क्या नहीं बीबी, तुझसे चाहे दो जहां दे दे। या है मेरी बीबी आंसुओं ने दुआ मांगी है, तेरी तस्बीह पढ़ के दिल ने तुझे पुकारा है। या फर्श मजलिस पे और मुसल्ले पर हर जमा कह रहा है रो रो कर, हम रहे ना रहे मगर बीबी, ता क़यामत रहे गमे सरवर। या है मेरी बीबी, तेरे बच्चों का गम मनाते हैं, अपनी औलाद से कहीं बढ़ के गम ये प्यारा है। या ज़हरा मिलके या या कल्ब मोमिन से गम जुदा कर दे, बस गमे करबला अता कर दे, बेखता कैद में है जो मोमिन, मौजज़े से उन्हें रिहा कर दे। या है मेरी बीबी, गम कोई हुसैनियों को न दे, जो हुसैनी है तेरे बाबा को जान से प्यारा है। या बाबा जबरन सारो सरिया तेरे दिल पर जो सितम टूटे जिंदगी में जो तूने गम देखे आसमानों जमी पे गर होते मिसल शबो सियाह हो जाते या हरा है मेरी बीबी देख कर तेरी मुसीबत को सारे आलम का दिल मसाइब से पारा पारा है या गर्क मातम शो आलमे वाला मेरे मन मौला सरवरे ज़हरा वैला आहवा वैला बराए खुशनुदी जनाब फातिमा ज़हरा सलामुल्लाह अलैहा बाबा जबरन नारे सलवात
السلام عليك يا رسول الله السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين السلام عليك يا أبا محمد الحسن بن علي المجتبى السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار ولا جعله الله آخر اللهد مني لزيارتكم السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين السلام عليك يا زين العابدين ومحمد الباقر وجعفر الصادق وموسى الكاظم وعلي بن موسى الرضا ومحمد التقي الجواد وعلي الهادي والحسن الزكي العسكري صلى الله عليك ابن الزهراء يا صاحب الزمان صلى الله عليك يا ابن الحسن يا صاحب الزمان سيدي الأمان 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 من فتنة الزمان السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن السلام عليك يا إمامنا وإمام الإنس والجان عجل الله لك ما وعدك من النصر وظهور الأمر ورحمة الله وبركاته اللهم كن لوليك الحجة بن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل الساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. وصل يا رب على محمد وآله الطاهرين.